Right, good evening. Thank you for taking time to meet Team Merrimack, your slate of 8 Republican state representative candidates. My name is Bob LaRue, former state representative for the town of Merrimack, and it is my pleasure to moderate this forum. This is not going to be a debate. This is an opportunity for you to hear from our candidates, to become more familiar with them, and learn about their positions on various issues. Before beginning the introductions, I would like to explain to you how the program is going to work. Each candidate will be introduced, and after a brief statement, it will be followed by 2 questions for each candidate. Each candidate in random order will be allowed 2 minutes to answer each question. At the conclusion of the questionnaires, each candidate will be given a short closing statement on their behalf. So let's begin with the introductions. First, we have Julie Miles. Julie?
Thank you, Mr. LaRue. My name is Julie Miles, and I'm running to be your state representative in Merrimack. I'm a lifelong New Hampshire resident who graduated from both New Hampshire Technical Institute and the University of New Hampshire. As a registered nurse with leadership and management experience both inside and outside the hospital, I've had the privilege with working with people from all backgrounds and working with them and for them. I understand that everyone has unique needs. There are no cookie cutter solutions, and those are not the answer. I'm running to represent Merrimack in the State House to lead with common sense, focused on key priorities like quality and affordable health care, combating rising costs of living, supporting our families, advocating for clean water, and protecting the freedoms that matter most to New Hampshire residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next, we have Representative Maureen Mooney.
Thank you, Bob. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for watching. My name is Maureen Mooney, a state representative here in Merrimack, and I'm running for re-election for my 6th term this fall. Currently, I'm a member of the House Judiciary Committee that oversees the state budget. I'm the vice chair of Division 3. Previously, I've served on the House Judiciary Committee and the House Rules Committee. I currently co-chair the Speaker's Advisory Group. I'm running again because I want to protect and preserve the New Hampshire advantage. I want to continue advocating for the citizens of Merrimack. I want to be sure there is no income or sales tax implemented. And I want to work on the next budget to make sure that it meets the needs of constituents without overspending. You'll hear a lot from my colleagues and I throughout this program, and we ask that you vote for all of us, all 8 Team Merrimack, on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Janine Nodder.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for watching. My name is Janine Nodder, and I am seeking my 8th term. I've been on the Committee of Science, Technology, and Energy for the past 10 years. Prior to that, I was on the Judiciary Committee and also State and Federal Relations and Veterans Affairs. Additionally, I'm on the Executive Board for Communications and Technology with the American Legislators Exchange Council. My husband Stefan and I have 6 grown children, 4 grandbabies, and a great big spoiled dog. Before running for office, I was a fitness professional, a freelance writer, and I started a show right here on MerrimackTV back in 2006, Chatting with Janine, and it's still running today. I love the Granite State and all it has to offer, and I hope to earn your vote to keep New Hampshire a wonderful exception to the other states that surround us, and also a vote for all 8 of us, Team Merrimack. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Next, we have Adam Presa.
Thank you, Bob. My name is Adam Presa. I lived in Merrimack my entire life. I went through the Merrimack school system, and I attended New England College right down the road in Henniker, New Hampshire. I'm grateful for all the opportunities the town of Merrimack and the Merrimack school system has provided for me. I'm running for a state representative to make sure that the future generations of Merrimack residents have the same opportunities as I did. As well as I want all the residents of Merrimack to continue to have the ability to enjoy everything New Hampshire has to offer. New Hampshire has been rated one of the best states to live in and one of the best states to raise a family in, and I want to keep it that way. I believe that starts with a strong K-12 education and making sure that people of Merrimack and New Hampshire have a voice in the state government. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Next, Rebecca Woodman.
Thank you, Bob. My husband and I have lived in Merrimack for over 30 years. We have raised our 3 children here. We have 6 grandchildren, a crazy dog, and my background is in education. I have a master's degree in education. I am running to promote and preserve our freedom, our individual rights, and to help families flourish. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, we have Representative Bill Boyd. Bill?
Bob, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you to Merrimack for the opportunity to speak with you. Again, my name is Bill Boyd. I live on Joppa Row with my wife of 20 years, Michelle, and our 23-year-old daughter, Jade, and our sled dogs. Previously, I sat behind this dais here as one of your town councilors for 10 years, and I was honored, humbled, and privileged that you promoted me to serve you up in Concord. And that's the reason why I sit here today looking to serve you up in Concord for a 3rd term, because it remains my commitment to you that in my work up in Concord, that I continue to work to get the best possible outcomes for you and the community in Merrimack. When I first ran for council, our community was growing and our community was changing. Those same issues that were applicable some 15 years ago remain applicable today. It's the question of how we are going to change and how are we going to move forward, not just as a community, but as a state. Preserving the New Hampshire advantage, limited government, lower taxes, personal responsibility. That's the Granite State way that all of us cherish here in New Hampshire. And I certainly have tried to deliver that in my 4 years of serving you up in Concord. I serve on Public Works and Highways, and I currently chair the New Hampshire Drinking Water and Groundwater Advisory Commission, and I endeavor to continue to serve you on those particular committees moving forward. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we have Tracy Coyer.
Hello, my name is Tracy Coyer. I've been a resident of Merrimack for just over 19 years now. Moved here from Massachusetts. This is a much better place to be. My wife and I moved here. She grew up in Ware, New Hampshire. I am a retired career law enforcement officer, former legislative researcher. I'm currently a radio talk show co-host and a MerrimackTV host for the show called The Real American. I believe that Merrimack is a beautiful community. New Hampshire is probably the best place I've ever lived in my life, certainly the longest. I love the community, I love the people, and I want to represent you, and I want to be your voice without question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And finally, John Frechette.
Thank you, Bob. I'm John Frechette. I was born and raised here in Merrimack. My wife Mary and I bought a house and raised our kids here in Merrimack. So I am the police lieutenant and XO of the Wilton Police Department. I've been a police officer in the state of New Hampshire for over 28 years. I'm a devout Catholic, and I'm very active with the Knights of Columbus and Hudson. I decided to get involved in politics because, like many of you, I was very concerned about the direction of our state and our nation was headed. You can't enact any change sitting at home yelling at the television, so I decided to get involved. I'm running for state representative to be a voice for the people of Merrimack and for the people of the state of New Hampshire. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the introductions. At least you have some idea of who our candidates are. And you can see they all have a various backgrounds, and they're pretty well qualified for this position. And one announcement I'd like to make is I urge you folks to please listen to the end of this forum, because we're going to have an important announcement at the end. So we'll start for the first round of questions, and our first round is for John Frechette. John, what is your position on gun control and the Second Amendment rights?
Thank you for the question, Bob. So I've been a hunter and a sport and target shooter from a very young age. Now, let me just say, I understand why people have extensive gun collections. Every style, every caliber has different functions and different purpose. Those who want to ban firearms and their accessories generally don't know anything about firearms. Their opinion is based upon the way they look or the way they sound. My goal is to defend our Second Amendment rights. I oppose bans on weapons and red flag laws. I'm looking to support and defend our constitutional carry law and our stand your ground law. Now, I carry a firearm as a law enforcement officer for a living to protect myself and protect someone else from deadly force. I believe that's the right that every citizen should have, to have the same protection. Now, it is a sad reality that gun violence does exist, but strict gun laws and firearm bans are not going to solve that. Criminals who unlawfully obtain firearms and illegally use them are still going to violate the laws, no matter how strict they are. So the only way to stop that violence, is to support our Second Amendment. As our Second Amendment says, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Tracy Coyer. And Tracy, if you could accomplish one thing over the next legislative session, what would it be?
To ensure that we kept our budget in balance, fiscal responsibility, lack of division between the left and the right, to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, to make sure that our children are properly educated and not manipulated. That's one of the most important things that I can think of, and assuring that parents have an absolute say in what goes on with their children's education and their children's upbringing. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Boyd, you mentioned earlier that you were chairman of the Drinking Water and Ground Advisory Commission. Can you tell us a bit about your role and how you've been able to leverage your role on a commission to improve the water quality in Merrimack?
Bob, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. In 2016, state of New Hampshire won a $277 million MTB contamination settlement against ExxonMobil. The legislature saw fit to create Chapter 485F, which created a vehicle by which the state could be able to retrieve those funds. And in the process of creating that vehicle, they also created a commission that would provide protection, preservation, and enhancement to drinking water and groundwater resources within the state. When I was in the town council in 2017, I sought and applied for an appointment by Governor Sununu to sit on that particular commission. And I've been on that commission now for coming up on 8 years, serving both as a town councilor and currently now as the chairman of the commission. And during that particular time, over that last 7 years, we've been able, the commission's been able to allocate close to $200 million of that settlement money in grants and loans to a variety of communities and municipalities in New Hampshire, targeting source water development, wellhead protection, infrastructure, and obviously maintaining and preserving water quality. In that particular role, I was able to leverage my position to be able, to be able to get the commission to allocate monies to the town of Merrimack. 2017, the booster station on Turkey Hill Road received an allocation of $1.3 million. Wells 4 and 5 got grant monies. The biggie that the MPD voted on, which was close to $8 million in remediation to clean up wells 2, 3, 4, and 5. And most recently, the MPD has come back to the commission looking for a gap grant of $850,000 so that they can finish hooking up neighborhoods off of Wilson Hill Road and Mason Road, two communities that have been impacted directly. Private wells have been impacted by PFAS. So I could talk more about the PFAS rebate program, where 80 people in our community have taken advantage of that to put in a point of entry treatment system or leverage that to hook up onto a public utility system. But we've done some amazing work, not just in the state, but at being able to redirect some of the funds here in Merrimack to be able to promote clean water. And the beauty is the most recent settlement with 3M and DuPont, $65 million is going to be allocated directly to the trust fund, which will be proportionally distributed to our utilities that have been impacted by PFAS. So Merrimack, over the next 2 to 3 years, is going to see a percentage of that settlement funding coming back in to offset some of the funds that the ratepayers had paid for in Merrimack. So Commission has done good work. I think the future is bright in terms of not only just ensuring Merrimack has access to clean potable water, but also other communities in New Hampshire. So
Well, thank
thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you, Bill. The next question is for Rebecca. Rebecca, what education issues are important to you?
Thank you for the question, Bob. Education is extremely important to all parents. In 2021, an educational choice program was enacted here in New Hampshire called the Educational Freedom Acts, EFAs as we now call it. EFAs have allowed many parents to enjoy this choice, one that fits their students. I recently read a quote by Joyce Craig in the New Hampshire Journal. I'm going to read it to you so I don't misquote it. She said, "We are going to put an end to this dangerous voucher scheme that is harming public education, and putting it in private schools and religious schools, and that is wrong." How does EFAs really work? Well, parents have to meet income requirements. They have to be at 350% at or below the federal poverty level. The money does not go directly to parents. It is not a voucher program. In fact, the funding is put into an account called the wallet. And from that wallet, funds are taken and given directly to approved educational providers. They also are required to take testing at the end of the academic year. There is an oversight committee, which is made up of 3 House representatives and 2 senators. How is it funded? It is funded through the Educational Trust Fund at the state level. Not one penny comes from local property taxes. And in fact, there is no effect upon the educational aid that is received by schools for their students at all. So it is not harming public education at all. In fact, when a student leaves the public school and becomes an EFA student, 50% of that child's adequacy aid stays with the school the first year. The second year, 25% of the adequacy aid stays with the public school, even though the child is no longer there. The EFA program is a huge success. While I was door knocking, I met some of these parents who are part of this program, and they are so grateful that this program exists. I think more parents should have this choice. And I'm going to be an advocate for educational choice. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, we had Adam. And Adam, from what I understand, you're quite an athlete. I understand you went and raced marathons and all this happy stuff. So anyway, what are your thoughts on allowing men to compete in women's sports?
Thank you for the question, Bob. I believe we all want young athletes to compete in sports that are fair and safe. And I also think we can agree that everyone should have opportunities to participate in athletics. My biggest concern is that there are biological differences between men and women that give men a clear physical advantage in terms of muscle mass and strength. Allowing men to compete in women's sports would create an uneven playing field that would not only lead to a higher chance of injury for female athletes, but it would take away from all the effort women athletes put into their sport. Men and women work equally hard in training and practicing, and those efforts should be awarded through fair competition. I believe it diminishes the integrity of why people play sports, and all it would do is take accomplishments away from deserving female athletes. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Next, Representative Notter. What is one of your top issues this year going into Concord?
Thank you for the question, Bob. I believe in the New Hampshire advantage. What makes the Granite State special is that we welcome and incentivize businesses and workers to want to come here. New Hampshire stands above the other New England states in that we have no sales or income tax. We are one of the top 2 states in the nation. Preserving New Hampshire advantage will always be one of my top priorities. Now, if the Democrats take the majority and implement a broad-based tax like an income tax to lower property taxes, that's going to be a temporary lowering. And then that tax is going to continue to go up and up and up, higher than it is now. And you're going to have that income tax or broad-based tax on top of that. That's how they ruin New Jersey. Let's not do that here. It is essential that we retain the majority in the House. Again, I ask you to vote for all 8 of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Representative Mooney, this year's elections seems to be pretty contagious. There are all kinds of issues, both state and federal, out there. Why is this upcoming election so important?
Thank you, Bob. This election is critically important. One of the first orders of business that the new legislature, after being elected, needs to do is work on and adopt the state budget. The state budget is what the state relies on to operate for the next 2 years. That process has already begun. State agencies have already very carefully comprised their proposals and given them to the governor's office. Those proposals to date are over $1 billion more than the state budget that was adopted last term. There are also several factors that the next legislature will have to consider when working on the next budget, one of which are the multiple claims being made to the Youth Detention Center. Now, the next governor and the next legislature needs to carefully review and adopt the next budget by considering the revenue sources, balancing the needs of constituents, and not spending us into an income tax. The governor and the legislators that are able to do that is Kelly Ayotte for governor and this team of 8. And we ask that you vote for all 8 in Team Merrimack on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Now, our last question for round 1 is directed to Julie Miles. Julie, how does your background in critical care, hospital management, medical devices, health insurance influence your commitment of supporting caregivers and strengthening the health care system?
Thank you. So as a professional nurse for 25 years, working across critical care, hospital management, medical device industry, and health insurance, I've seen firsthand how complex and overwhelming our healthcare system is for both patients and families. In critical care, I've learned the importance of immediate access to high quality care. People's lives depend on this. Hospital management has given me insight into the logistical and financial challenges that healthcare providers face when they're delivering their care. And while my experience with medical devices has highlighted the need for innovative solutions that improve patient outcomes without inflating costs. In the insurance sector, I've witnessed the difficulties families encounter when navigating coverage. And that's why I'm a strong advocate for price transparency. People should know exactly what they're going to pay for before they have it done. This should be clear and this should be in writing prior to your procedure. My goal is to ensure that our healthcare system prioritizes quality, we ensure access to doctors, and remains affordable and transparent for everyone. I respectfully ask for your vote. As all of the other candidates here, thank you very much, and I'm Julie Miles.
So this ends the first session of the first round session, and you can see all 8 candidates all picked very serious issues. They're all knowledgeable, and they want to bring these forward and fight for your rights. And so we'll start. Excuse me. We'll start with round 2 of the questionnaire. The first question for round 2 is directed to Representative Notter. You often said there's a lot of disinformation spread about the issues you deal with in Concord. Could you explain that, elaborate a little bit?
Well, yes, I could, but it would take up all the time allotted for this program. So I think most of us would prefer to just talk about the economy and other issues. But since this time around, the number one issue for the Democrats seems to be abortion. And as the senior member of the Merrimack delegation and a female, I said I would take that question. So here are the facts. Up until a few years ago, New Hampshire allowed abortions up until the moment of birth. We passed the Fetal Life Protection Act, which changed that time frame to 6 months and makes exceptions for medical emergencies and fatal fetal anomalies. I encourage you to go read the law for yourself. And here it is, Chapter 329:44. And stop paying attention to the lies being told about this issue. Those who oppose the Fetal Life Protection Act want the law to return once again to sanctioning abortions up until birth for absolutely no reason at all, like they do in New York and California. Most people, I think, agree that late-term abortion is extreme. Putting it into perspective, 6 months is 24 weeks. Fetal surgery can be performed as early as 15 weeks in the womb, which is incredibly amazing. The tiny little baby is given anesthesia before surgery. Why? Because even at that early stage, the little life feels pain. And that's the key word here. I respect innocent life. I couldn't hurt the little sea creature I found last month. I found this beautiful shell. I picked it up, I turned it over. There was this little appendage that came out with an eyeball on the end, and it looked at me. And I'm like, oh, I had to put it back. And it wasn't even a human life. So if I couldn't even hurt that, how could I possibly sanction hurting a tiny little human life that feels pain? Now, we may not agree on the definition of extreme, but at least now you can understand my perspective on the issue.
Thank you, Janine. Adam, in the last couple of years, there's been talk about the the Democratic Party to bring income tax to New Hampshire. What's your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Bob. I completely oppose the idea of introducing an income tax in New Hampshire. The fact that we are one of the few states that doesn't have an income tax is one of the reasons why our state is so attractive for people trying to find a place to live. An income tax will lower the overall quality of life for residents across New Hampshire and including here in Merrimack. It would make housing even less affordable at a time when affordability is already out of reach for so many first-time home buyers. As a realtor, I work closely with first-time home buyers, and I see firsthand how difficult it is for them to not only get approved for a home loan, but to trying to find a home that is suitable to live in and raise a family. For homeowners who just bought their home in the last few years and are struggling to make your mortgage payments, introducing income tax could make the difference between staying where you currently are and being forced to move out. I believe imposing the income tax would hurt Merrimack and the entire state greatly, and I believe this push to introduce an income tax is strictly for political control, not for the benefits of the New Hampshire residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Next, we have Rebecca Woodman. Rebecca, you're obviously in the education aspect of this thing. There's a lot of issues, controversial issues and discussions being about education. What needs to change, in your mind, what needs to change in the educational field?
Thank you for the question, Bob. While I was door knocking, I met a gentleman who owns the Snap-on tools as his business. And I asked him how it was going. And he said, it's okay, but it's slow. And I said, what is the reason for that? And he said to me, well, I sell to shops. They don't have the mechanics. Therefore, they don't buy my tools. We also heard from Holly Novoleski. She spoke about the fact that in her company, she can't find welders. There is a very high demand in our state and around the country for those who are in the trades careers. Mechanics, plumbers, electricians, HVAC, welders. Yes, we do have some training programs, but do we have enough? Are we advocating for students to pursue a career in the trades? With the elimination of the shop classes and the industrial arts classes that we had in our schools, they're not being exposed to the trades like they used to be. This needs to change. We need to value and promote the value of choosing a career in the trades. We don't want to leave our students wallowing in college debt that some are today. Let them choose a trade because of the interest in trades and because there is such demand. They more than likely will be able to get a job once they are trained. What else can we do? We need to start promoting it in our schools. We need all students to be exposed to the trades, the career of trades that can be theirs. We need to reform certification. We need to make it less cumbersome. We need to make it simple, and we need to cut the red tape. We also need to create and promote training partnerships, mentorships, and apprenticeship programs. This coming November at NHTI at Concord Community College, there is an event called Bring Back the Trades. So we are aware of the fact that we have a problem and that we are in great need of people to use trades as a career. And I want to be the one who helps promote trades as a career and walk with those who are fighting to bring trades back into our state. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Rebecca. Excuse me. My next question goes to Bill Boyd. Bill, when you were first elected in the House in 2021, you sought a seat on the House Public Works and Highway Committee, in which you're still a member of, I believe, right?
Correct.
How will you use your role on the committee as it relates to the Turnpike expansion to ensure the quality of Merrimack quality life is ensured?
I appreciate the question. Thank you. And it's a legitimate question. People that live on Wire Road and Bedford Road and Babusick Lake have already begun dealing with the DOT as it relates to some of the bridge work that's going to need to be done. They're going to be lifting that bridge up, and they're going to be, as they widen the roadway, that bridge is going to have to be brought up to accommodate that widening. So that was obviously a very critical first step in working with DOT and obviously the town manager to ensure that people are looped in that the expansion is going to have an impact. Harkening back to my 10 years as a town councilor, I've been out of town hall for now 4 years, but the relationships don't go away. When I was appointed to Public Works and Highways, one of the things that I wanted to do was, again, make the introductions and build the relationships with the DOT leadership team so that not only did they have, a face from Merrimack, but also knew that it was somebody that was in touch with what was going on in the community of Merrimack. Anecdotally, great examples were, the VFW was struggling to get a sign to put up in the right of way down in the south end of town on Daniel Webster Highway, which is state roadway. So, being able to leverage that part of with the DOT to expedite that so that they could get that new sign put up was vital. Members and community members, Webster Green, Society Hill, every day there are buses that are going northbound and southbound. And one of my constituents reached out and said, how difficult would it be to get, school bus warning signs put up along that stretch of the roadway? And it was a phone call and a couple of requests from the town manager and from the school superintendent, and now we've got signs down, up on the north end part of town. To me, those are two really good examples where the DOT has listened to local state representatives advocating for the community on issues that are impacting them. So as the Turnpike expansion moves forward, trying to, working with local authorities, the police chief, the town manager, DOT, to make sure that the roadways running north and south along DW Highway are going to be minimally impacted as the construction comes to fruition. And, this is coming to fruition next year. So it's going to be, I don't like to use the term all hands on deck, but I think it's going to be imperative that the slate of 8, including myself, remain cognizant of what's going on in town, being able to advocate to the leadership team at the DOT that they need to be, not being reactive. They need to be proactively addressing problems so that impacts in that stretch of the roadway along Daniel Webster Highway are mitigated and contained.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, next we'll go to Tracy. Tracy, what bothers you the most about the current political atmosphere?
Well, Bob, thank you. There's a number of things that actually bother me. I think one of them is just the absolute ability for people to lie and mislead as far as what's going on. And, I'll go back to Janine's issue with the abortion. I mean, I've heard that lied about constantly. And I've seen the ads saying that, this happened and, I could have died. And, you feel bad for the people that are making these claims, but when you analyze it, you realize that it's nothing but a lie. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to tell the truth about what they believe. And the answer to that question is, if people actually told the truth, some people told the truth about what they believed, the Democrats would have a blank checkbook, our property taxes would be through the roof, we'd have all of our 8th graders running around in dresses instead of blue jeans, not knowing who they were, or them not knowing what they were. The lies have become so confusing. And we talked about this a while back, not you and I specifically, Bob, but I've talked about this before. The goal of the other side is not for them to lie and get you to believe them. It's for them to lie and get you to believe that everybody else is lying to you as well. I know all 7 other people on this panel, the Team Merrimack. I know every one of them, and I know not one of them is going to go to Concord and lie. And I'm feeling really, really good about the fact that I trust everyone here. I know everyone here. And if the people of Merrimack would take the time to get to know us, they would get to trust us and believe that we're not trying to mislead them. We are not here for personal gain. We are here to preserve our community. And thank you, Bob.
Thank you, John. Tracy, I'm sorry. I apologize on the name mix-up here. Next is John Frechette. John, you've been in law enforcement quite a few years, your whole career. With your law enforcement experience as a police officer, what would influence you up in Concord?
Thanks for the question, Bob. I'm going to answer it in 3 parts. So first, police officers have to quickly evaluate dynamic situations while paying attention to even the smallest details. Then we have to filter through varying statements in order to determine the truth. So these skills will help decipher complex legislative bills. Some of the bills are written intentionally to be long and complex in hope that certain details are going to be overlooked. And secondly, I've seen firsthand how soft on crime practices affects our streets. Police officers get extremely frustrated with arresting the same offenders multiple times. We need to continue addressing our bail reform laws. I believe that there should be minimum mandatory sentencing for violent offenses and truth in sentencing laws. And anyone who has dealt with the juvenile justice system knows that it's only gotten more complex and frustrating over the past several years. Today's criminal offenders are even more brazen, having gotten away with so much in the past. We need to hold criminals more accountable for their actions, and they need to serve as a deterrent for future crimes. And then lastly, a large percentage of the critical incidents that we deal with are related to drug addiction and mental health crises. And over the past several years, I've seen several new resources launched in the state, but even those new resources are quickly overwhelmed. So I think our state government needs to continue and address these underlying issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next for Julie. It says, how does the signing of the Taxpayers Protection Pledge align with your commitment to opposing sales or income taxes? And what impact do you believe this will have on taxpayers and businesses?
Thank you again. I'm a firm believer that protecting the hard-earned money of New Hampshire families is of utmost importance. I signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge because I strongly oppose the implementation of any sales or income tax. Over 50% of the workforce in New Hampshire is employed by small businesses. And by the way, small business is not just 50 to 100 employees. It can be upward of 500, close to 700. That's big. And so these businesses are the backbone of our economy. And introducing new taxes would place unnecessary burden and hardship on both the individuals working for them and the businesses themselves. This stifles growth and reduces disposable income for the employee, us, the taxpayer, the people that, we get paid on Friday, we put our money in our pocket. You will have less money. By opposing these taxes, I'm ensuring that New Hampshire remains a place where small businesses can thrive, innovation can flourish, and families can keep more of their savings in their pocket. This commitment not only aligns with our state's longstanding history of low taxes, but it also helps maintain the affordability and flexibility financially that people deserve. And my goal is to foster an environment that encourages job creation, innovation, economic stability without the hindrance of an additional taxation. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And our final question goes to Representative Mooney. Representative Mooney, you've been in Concord for quite a few years. I was there a couple of years myself. Why is it important to work and collaborate with everybody?
Thank you for the question, Bob. It is very important to be able to work with others in Concord and in Merrimack. No man is an island in Concord. In fact, it takes over 200 people, that is votes, to pass good legislation, or on the converse, kill bad legislation. Only by being able to work across the aisle and with others, either in committee or on bills, are we able to be effective legislators and advocates for Merrimack. I've proven I've been able to do this, as is evident by the committees I've served on, the bills I've sponsored and co-sponsored, and the issues that I have assisted constituents with time and time again. I know for a fact that all 8 on this panel, Team Merrimack, will do the same while representing you in Concord. Vote for all 8 on November 5th. Thank you.
And this concludes our question and answer segment, and we hope the information's been helpful and informative to you when you cast your ballot in November. And we'll now have a closing statement from each of the candidates, and then we'll begin with the Representative Janine Notter.
Thank you, Bob, and we appreciate you for taking the time to host this forum for us. My name is Janine Notter. I am a strong, proven conservative with a voting record that speaks for itself. I've held a top leadership position in the New Hampshire House of Representatives for the past 3 terms. I've participated in continuing education for over the past 14 years on the issues we take up in Concord. The Merrimack 4th graders were in Concord during this month of October. And one of the things that I explained to them was how hard it is sometimes to press that red button over the green button, because we hear from our constituents. And some of our constituents say, I want you to vote this way, and others say, I want you to vote that way. Well, we're not allowed to press red and green together for a nice little compromise. Sometimes we have to pick red or green, yes or no, on any given issue. So what I do is I go back to what I promised to run on. My integrity is at stake, and I don't go off voting the way I said I would vote. I kind of messed up what I was saying there, but I think you understand what I mean. I keep my promises. I ask for your vote on November 5th for me and for all 8 of us. I believe that we are all duly qualified. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Next, we'll hear from Adam Preza.
Firstly, I want to thank you, Bob, and MerrimackTV for letting us all come on tonight and talk about our beliefs and what we're going to do once we get elected. I believe in keeping New Hampshire a state of opportunity. We need to ensure the best education for the children, provide affordable housing for our families, and I want to make sure the people of Merrimack are listened to and their opinions are heard. And the last thing I want to say is please go out and vote on November 5th. It is your American right as a citizen to have your ballot cast, and I hope everyone goes out and votes this November.
Thank you, Adam. Rebecca?
Thank you, Bob. I count it a privilege to be able to run as a state rep in this great state of live free and die. Live free or die. It's a great state to live in. And I would love to hear from the constituents who live in this community when I become a state rep. I consider it an honor to be able to get your emails, to read your emails, and to respond to you. I want you to know that I'm here to hear from you. Please make it a point to pick up the phone and call me, or write me an email because I will respond. I really want to hear from you. And again, as Adam just said, please don't forget to vote. Please go to the ballots and vote on November 5th for all 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, Representative Boyd.
Bob, thank you very much. And like what Adam said, thank you to Merrimack TV for the opportunity to come into your living rooms tonight. I appreciate it. I've served the community of Merrimack for over 10 years now, and it continues to remain an honor and a privilege to represent the community that I love and care about deeply. I sit here with 7 other individuals who share the same belief that I have about the town of Merrimack. It's worth fighting for. It's worth seeing it grow. It's worth seeing it move forward. And it's worth promoting the ideals and the values that makes Merrimack an amazing community to work, live, and raise a family. On November 5th, I sincerely hope that you will get out to vote. You'll vote for the slate of 8. You'll vote for Senator Ayotte for governor. And you'll continue to move Merrimack forward to see what its promise has been and what we hope it will be for the future. And on a personal note, again, it remains an honor and a privilege to serve you up in Concord. And I'm very grateful for the service that I've given to the community over the last 14 years. And I remain grateful for the service I hope to continue to give. I hope to earn your vote. Like my 7 other colleagues here, they hope to earn your vote on November 5th. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we'll hear from Tracy Coyer.
Thanks, Bob. I just want to tell everybody that's watching that I consider it a sincere honor to be sitting with these 7 people. I consider it an honor to even be considered for this position, and I will do you no disservice if you vote for me and everybody here. I am proud to be a part of this community. I will always be a part of this community, and as a member of this community, I humbly ask for you to vote for each and every one of us so that we can keep America and keep Merrimack the town that we've grown to know and love. And I thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy. Next, John Frechette.
Thank you, Bob, and I'd like to thank Merrimack TV for hosting us. So did you know that the New Hampshire legislature is the 3rd largest legislative body in the world? It's a true embodiment of a citizen legislature. We all run for candidates because we have a sense of duty and we want the best there is for the state of New Hampshire. No one here is getting involved in New Hampshire politics for the money. If anything, the past several elections have proven is that there's no such thing as a red wave. We need everyone to get out and vote. Don't rely on your friends and your neighbors to get out and vote. We need everyone. Every vote is important. We need you to get out and vote Republican up and down the ticket. On November 5th, I hope you vote for me, John Frechette, and the entire team of 8 here. And remember to vote Republican up and down the ticket. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, thank you, John. Next, Julie Miles.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for sticking with us this long. We appreciate it. As your state representative, I will navigate and improve your health care. I will fight for clean water. I will never vote for an income tax or a sales tax. And election day is Tuesday, November 5th. We ask for your vote. We will do right by the constituents of Merrimack, and we appreciate you, Merrimack. Thank you.
And finally, Representative Maureen Mooney.
Thank you, Bob, very much for hosting this forum. Thank you, Merrimack TV. Thank you, the audience, for watching and taking an interest in this very important election. And thank you to my colleagues, my teammates, for running and putting yourself out there. As was mentioned earlier, this election is critical to the future and the direction of New Hampshire. And the question is clear. Who do you want managing this state over the next 2 years? Our answer to you is Kelly Ayotte for governor and the 8 of us voting for Team Merrimack, all 8, on November 5th. Thank you for watching, for voting. We'll see you at the polls.
Now, the Merrimack voting locations are as follows. Ward 1 is James Master Cola School right here on Babuzik Lake Road. Ward 2, Merrimack Middle School at Madeline Bennett Way, up the road a piece. And Ward 3 is St. John Newman Church. When you go to vote, be sure you bring the proper ID with you. And if you're going to be out of town or you can't vote because of, for whatever reason, you want an absentee ballot, contact the town clerk's office at 603-424-3651 to obtain whatever information you need or an absentee ballot. I'd like to thank our Team Merrimack of 8 Republican state representative candidates for their dedication and willingness to represent and serve our community. I had mentioned at the beginning of the program, the forum, that there would be a special announcement, and this is what it's all about. We all know, at least we suspect, that it'll be a very heavy election. A lot of people are going to vote that day. I would strongly suggest that you go on the internet and get yourself a sample ballot like this. They're on there. When you're home, you can fill out your ballot. So when you get to the polls, you don't have to go down and read the whole ballot and pick and choose and decide at your leisure, which you're allowed to do. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the more people that have a prepared sample ballot when they go to the polls expedites the whole system. So please, I would urge you to try to get a sample ballot off the internet, fill it out. You're at home, take all the time you want, analyze all the candidates from what you've heard tonight, and then when you go to the polls, you'll be in and out. You just copy down with your own air slip, okay? So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this forum, and hope that it helped you to make a decision who you're going to vote for on November 5th. We obviously hope that you vote for this Team Merrimack, the slate of 8 right here. And I would especially like to thank the Merrimack TV crew, Nicholas, Justin, and Gracie, without whose help this forum would not have been possible. So thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you at the polls on Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you.